Thank you for listening to the Advertising Podcast. We are here today with Anam to really do a deep dive into content and things. Thank you so much for listening. If you would, please like, subscribe, leave a comment on whatever platform you're on. Really, today I think it has a lot of good practical applications. I mean, Jerry, what's your thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. At the end of this podcast, you're going to be able to walk away with definitely a couple of things that you can do to make your email campaigns better. Correspondence with clients, potential or otherwise, is going to be improved by this. Lots are going to come out about how to structure an email, like the sequencing. You're going to hear the word sequencing a lot. So it'll be a good podcast for anybody that needs to improve in that space for sure.
Breaking down advertisements, improving on them, redefining ad space. This is the Advertising Podcast.
So, Anam, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Anam, and I've been in content marketing for about 10 years now. I've been doing this since 2012. And I went to the University of Glasgow for an MSc in International Business back then. And ever since then, it's just been about articles, blogs, copy, and everything related to words since then. So I just started all of this since the cradle, probably, since I'm totally into books and reading and everything that has to do with content and words. So that's why I'm here and excited about joining you guys today.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you for having us. I mean, content is, one of the most important things. I mean, it's as important as ads and all of that stuff. Like once you get somebody's attention, it's like, all right, what do you say? I mean, that's kind of a crucial part, right?
Yeah, that's exactly how you can persuade customers and clients or anybody who's opting for your products or services. So if you can't say the right thing, you can't sell anything. And if you can't sell anything, you can't make money.
Right.
And that's the end of it. So, yeah.
Exactly.
We run into this all the time too, especially with people trying to be too wordy about what they do as well, like condensing that down into something that is easily digestible and quick, like, because you don't, especially in digital advertising, you don't have very much time with people. Like they're going to see it and move on. So you got to grab their attention quick.
I believe that the average person has an attention span of about 8 seconds right now. So that means that after 8 seconds,
I'm already distracted.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. It happens. Yeah, no, that's true. And it does happen too, where we'll have clients or partner agencies or things that we work with where we're like, where we'll get a campaign that's a decent sized ad budget. And then we'll look at their website or we'll look at the content that they're promoting. And we're like, this is terrible. So like you're just spent a bunch of money to get a bunch of people to look at something that
stinks. Yeah.
Terrible. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Is that what you wanted? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah. So saying too much and saying too little and saying the wrong thing, they're all equivalent. I mean, you have to say the right thing at the right time and in the right amount of words. Otherwise, you're just failing overall.
Exactly. It's that easy. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's right.
It's fine.
So it is. Your 3 steps. That's it. Yeah.
Exactly. It just has to be perfect. So tell us, did you find any bad examples of folks that maybe we could improve?
I'm sure there are worse examples than this, but I have found something that I do consider bad. I have a blog post and I have an email copy that I think are pretty terrible. So yeah, I can show them to you, and we can see how far we do on each in this episode.
And as always, just a quick disclaimer, we do this out of love for the businesses and for anyone that we were doing represented. It's because we care, not
right.
Absolutely.
We're not trying to drag anybody through the mud. We all get better through learning this stuff. So,
And I'm sure I've produced probably worse than any of this. So over the course of my career. So hopefully only once.
I am guilty of writing trash copy. I've written some really bad radio ads over the years.
I think everyone's done something that they're like, not happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
So should I start?
Yeah.
Pull it up. Let's look at it.
Okay. Okay. So The first thing is this is an email copy. If you can believe it, I took it out so that of my email tab, so I didn't want to really tell you exactly which business was using this, but so I
Sure. Yeah. No.
All right.
yeah, so I could just keep them anonymous, and hopefully they'll improve their campaigns in the future.
In the
But
future.
we just
Yeah.
do it like this,
Right on.
yes. Okay, so if you can see
Perfect.
here, the first line, I mean, they're starting off fine, hi with the custom tag of first name.
Sure.
That's casual enough, and that's jumping
Mhm.
into the conversation. But okay, so their first line is some people like to keep it casual and keep it, maybe more on the funny side. That's fine, but if you can see, in my opinion, in this first line where they say, "I know these sales emails can be a little awkward, so here's a picture of our company's dog, Bono, to break the ice." Um, Okay, so there's a difference between being funny and being lame. So, so I really believe that this line would be a bit more on the lame side. I don't think any like most a lot of the audience would probably find this to be funny immediately. It might be amusing. I mean, to get the audience's attention for about 4 or 5 seconds, but I don't think this is
Sure.
a very a good start.
I
It can be
think this is what everybody in the world thinks about me right after they meet me. He's like, he was trying to walk a borderline of lame versus funny, but it really landed in lame.
Yeah. Right.
um,
Exactly.
and also they by using the word awkward, they're already putting a certain emotion in the audience's brain. I wouldn't
Right.
recommend that. I mean, starting off in your first sentence, you're saying that we're using the word awkward, which means that you're already telling them I'm about to get more awkward with you. So it's already not giving a positive emotion to the recipient. I wouldn't recommend that you put in something like that, which can make the audience feel a certain negative emotion. So probably more positive words like joy or happiness or anything like that, which can give the audience a certain aura of how happy you're going to make them in this email. The word awkward is just sort of steering me off as well for in copy. So then we have the picture of the dog, right? So it's completely irrelevant to the product. The dog is, I mean, it's just there. So
Why is it so big? Like it's so prominent.
yeah, it's cute. Yes, I would say it's cute, but nothing beyond that. Irrelevant, as well. So, yeah, I just don't think it should be there. Okay, so now if you go down here, you can see that they continue. Now that we are old friends, okay, just because you showed me a picture of your dog does not mean we're old friends.
Yeah, you're
That's
Sure.
getting a little
yeah,
familiar there. Yeah.
yeah, that's getting too going too far too fast, and I wouldn't recommend that either to any business when they're talking to cold emailing recipients for the first time. It's okay to be friendly, it's okay to be funny, it's okay to be casual, but it's not okay to just like jump into your recipient's lap and go like, okay, hey buddy, we're old friends now, just because I showed you an irrelevant picture of a dog 2 seconds ago. So no, I don't think this line is completely irrelevant. Again, first of all, they're not even introducing why they're emailing them. They're not even
Right.
telling you what product
Right.
they're about to pitch. They're not even telling you why you need to keep reading this email. So there's a high chance after seeing the picture of this dog, someone who is a very busy executive has probably already stopped
Yeah. They
reading.
bounced at that
Oh
point.
Yeah,
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
I'd have
they
been
bounced.
gone.
That was one of the that's one of the things that I was thinking actually in the very first line where it specifically calls it a sales email. It's
Yep.
like I get the idea, but it does immediately let me know that I can delete this email without
Yes,
consequence, right? So
yes.
like
That's
Correct.
I
very
would
This is not
yeah.
important. Yep.
it's
Yeah, thank
I'd
you
be
for
like,
putting that
oh
too.
cool,
You should never
delete.
call yourself a sales email. First of all, it's not even a good idea to, hard sell to somebody you're cold emailing. You're probably trying to create a connection, network at best, or try to start a conversation when you're starting with a recipient or a potential customer when you're cold emailing them for the first time. Calling yourself a sales telling them that straight out this is a sales email, yes, you're very right, that's a big turnoff
Mhm.
at the very start.
Exactly.
Okay, so if we keep going you'll find more stuff that's wrong with this. They say here, just wanted to ask if you're interested in checking out the center reputation of your email domain. Okay, so after a lot of irrelevant information, they're straight out asking a question which is relevant to what they're about to sell. the service they're about to offer. However, they just go straight out and ask the question without telling the recipient why it's important for them to check
Yeah.
out the reputation of their email
There's
domain.
no context
Exactly.
whatsoever. Yeah, somebody may have received this and they don't even know what they're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
If,
I
I
have
mean,
this sort of.
just very
I
recently, I've learned why it's important that sender reputation has to be checked. I mean, I've been working for 10 years in content, and I just learned this. I've been using email for about I think about 15 to 16 years, but
right.
I just recently found out that I actually have to be very careful about my sender reputation. So this is a question out of the blue. There's no context. There's no pain point mentioned. There's no solution mentioned. There's no why do I need to know this, right? So there's no why, there's no how, there's no what. It's just a question out of now that we're old friends. I mean, after a dog, we're old friends, and now you want to know if I want to check my sender reputation. So that's completely irrelevant. And this is actually a real email. So very badly crafted. Okay, so
And to your point, I have this sort of rule in my mind. I call it like the like roofer rule. Like, would a random owner of a roofing company know what the hell this is talking about? The answer is like no. They're not gonna have no idea what like sender reputation means.
yes,
And
exactly. And companies all over the world, people in different businesses are sending emails to cold recipients, people who
right,
haven't communicated with before. So and they have no idea how email marketing works and how they can get go into spam, how they can their sender reputation takes a hit after they're marked as spam by recipients. So all of that context needs to be in here. This is completely irrelevant. It's not selling anything.
right.
Well, and the fact that there's a picture embedded in the email means it's more likely to go to spam anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not
Well,
only is it irrelevant, yeah.
yeah,
And a
this
link.
is an email warm-up tool itself. I can just tell you that. I'm not going to tell you which one, but yeah.
Sure.
So they're selling email warm-up services, and yeah. So I mean, if they have properly warmed up their domain, it might not go to spam with this just one image, but I mean, they haven't provided any other information to exactly why they're selling this or what they're selling, and the funny part is that I didn't even have to delete the company's name out of this email because they didn't mention it. I mean, so
Right.
yes.
Good
Also,
grief.
and
Like,
okay,
how are
so
you going to sell something if they don't know how to get a hold of you or who you are?
Right.
you are exactly. And here they go. Come on, who would miss an opportunity if it's entirely free?
What
Okay, so
opportunity?
why wouldn't we if we? Okay, so they have mentioned it's free. It's sort of it's coming across as a more of a very cheap tactic to try to get somebody to click. I mean, if someone was selling, I don't know, spinach for free, I probably wouldn't want it. I mean, if I don't like spinach, I don't eat
Yeah.
it, right? So, exactly. So, yeah. So, exactly. No context, and all they're mentioning here is that you shouldn't miss this because it's entirely free. So it doesn't make sense. There's no flow, and it's very unconvincing. So, inconvincing. So, here's my calendar link, and there's supposed to be a link here. I took it out.
Sure. Right.
If you want to learn about your domain reputation and how we can help boost it, feel free to book some time with us. Okay, so here they have given a bit of context about what they can do for the recipient, but it's still not very clear, right? So the person's giving their Calendly link before they're telling you why, right?
Right.
So that's also wrong sequence. You should tell me why I should book the meeting before you actually give me the option to book the meeting. This is the CTA. It should be at the end, the Calendly
Right.
link. So it shouldn't be before that. Then it's just best regards, and there's obviously an email signature here that I obviously took out. But yeah, so it's the email is short and sweet, probably the right length, but again, irrelevancy, lack of details related to what they're selling, what they're promoting, what they want the recipient to do, and why. So it's very important in emails, to maybe keep it down to 100 and 150 words. But in those words, the whole secret is the secret sauce is that you have to try to mention who, what, where, why, and how. So tell the recipient who you are, why you're contacting them, what you're selling, how it's helping the recipient, and what you want them to do at the end after your email. But this email does not really attend to any of those W's or that H, the how. So it's
Right.
it's giving you very, very basic information. It's telling you, okay, book a meeting. Here's my link. But it really isn't even saying book a meeting. I mean, it's just saying, if you want to learn about this, feel free to book some time with us. And that's not really a very good, a strong CTA either. Even if
No, it's
I took
soft.
it as, if I took it as good copy, in the other way, the CTA is very weak. You really shouldn't, give your recipient an if you want to do this. You should tell
Right.
them why you would want to do this. I mean, you're emailing them confidently. You think they need your service or product. You're not spam.
Right.
You're sending them an email because you think you're giving them something relevant, something helpful. So don't
Right.
say if you want to use this. Tell them why they'd want to use it, why they should want to use it, and then tell them that here's my link. So just book a meeting. Obviously, it's up to them if they want to book or not. You're not forcing them to, but you should confidently ask them to. You shouldn't be go like, okay, so if you want to do this, or if you want to know how we can help you, just book a call with us, because no one's going to want to book a call with you if you're going to tell them later on how they can help you. Tell them now. You have about 8-10 seconds here in the email to tell them exactly why they should do the next step. The next step.
Yeah.
Here it's completely missing. So yeah,
Gotcha.
so I found this email pretty bad.
Yeah.
And
All right.
yeah.
So from what I'm hearing, okay, here are the actionable things, like for you out there who may be about to send out some cold emails. It's like, okay, keep it to about 150 words,
Mhm.
right? Focus on the who I am, what my service is,
Mhm.
why it's important to you, person I'm sending it to, and then here's how you get in touch with me, and do
Yes.
that in 150 words or less, and just get to the point.
Ideally, yes. I'm not against long form emails, and they're
Sure.
necessary. They'd probably be called sales letters, probably if
Yeah.
you'd
Right.
go beyond that. You'd probably where you want to give more details, you want to tell more about your product. But I would recommend that in those 150 words, if you want to add more information, add a link. Add a link to a blog, to a landing page where they can find more information should they need it. Because no one wants to see if someone I myself, if I open my inbox and I see an email and I open it and it's like very long, I probably bounce. I'm like, I don't have time right now. Maybe I'll
Right.
come back later, but that's a big
Right.
maybe. It's a big maybe. I mean, because by the time I actually go back to my inbox, I have 10 more emails that I have to check. So
Right.
I hardly ever go back to that long email. So it's really ideal to keep it down to 150 to 100 words if you can.
Yeah.
But
And
you can
and
slightly beyond that. 200 wouldn't be bad, but long emails, we should try to stay away.
I think this particular type of email is now this is a little sales lettery, but I don't know if you're familiar with the PAS framework or the problem agitate solve framework, but like for this one, if you've got a product that solves a very specific problem, especially if it's related to the way you're reaching out, like I think that's actually a more interesting opening. Like, so if they opened with some version of, as you might be able to tell, this is an unsolicited email, and you might be wondering how this got into your inbox.
Yes,
Especially if
I
you've ever had emails go to junk that you've sent. Here's how I was able to get into your inbox, because
yes,
I have a
that's
warmed
an
up thing.
excellent opening on the spot, Skip. Yeah, that is, and that's very true. It's way better than introducing your dog.
Yeah,
To
right.
somebody, yes. To somebody who's probably really busy with, and they're already manually or somehow doing their email marketing, and they're probably already very agitated with getting into spam all the time, and they have 1,000
Exactly.
things to do. I don't think they want to meet your dog right now, right? So
Right. Exactly. But we've all had someone be like, "Oh, sorry." I mean, now maybe it's a lie. Like probably, let's say 80% of the time it's a lie. But we've all had people be like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't see your email. It went in my junk." We've all experienced that, and so
yes.
anytime that happens, it's always immediately like, "Huh, I wonder what's wrong with my email that it's going to junk."
Right.
And
So there,
so
there's several reasons for that,
working
and
that.
one is sender reputation. So yeah,
Exactly.
if that stinks, you do go into spam. But they don't explain it. I mean, they have to tell you
Right.
exactly why you're in spam and how they can help you. Otherwise, I don't even know why I'm in spam, if I'm in spam, to be honest. And how do I find
Exactly.
out if I am in spam? Unless someone tells me that, you're in my junk. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
making your whatever problem you solve relatable, I'd say, is like one of the main like hooks, because yeah, like Cinder reputation doesn't mean anything to anybody, but do your emails ever go to junk? That's something we can all relate to. So I mean, like that's just a sort of another little action step as you listeners out there crafting your own content, be thinking like, is this a problem that's a niche that only somebody super specific to my world would know, or is it something that like my grandma could relate to, or that type of thing? Like that's
Yeah, and
um,
and I just like to add that it's okay to make jokes in between, if that's your your brand image, and if you're a casual funny brand, that's fine. But
right.
being irrelevant, especially at the beginning of an email, when it's the hook time, it's the time to actually grasp someone's attention. Being silly or being irrelevant or being completely unprofessional in those 2 seconds that you have, I just wouldn't think that that's a very good strategy at all. I've seen other people doing it as well, but sometimes they do manage to pick up better, after the first two lines, if they want to throw in a joke in the very beginning. But I think this email was completely, it was pretty
Yeah,
bad overall. So
Yeah.
just on the beginning.
exactly.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
I have one more. I have a blog post as well that
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go
it's
for it.
not as bad as the email, but it's because it's a whole blog. The person actually was able to do some things good, but some things they were not able to do good. So okay, so this blog post is best email warm-up tools, and so as you know, I had to copy paste the text out of the other document where they had charts and stuff, but obviously the charts and stuff were fine. This is the main text that has problems in it. So I can just quickly take you through this. Okay, so in a blog post, so when you start, you should have an interesting beginning, and I think they've done pretty well here when they're actually mentioning a situation, and they're mentioning why you would need an email warm up tool. It's telling you how you can get pretty frustrated if it's in the spam folder and nobody bothers to read it, um, and and they're telling you how if you're if you're in the email marketing process and you're sending emails and and then you still land in spam, how that's going to really completely make everything worthless. So that's fine. This part's fine as well. Where
Sure.
they start mentioning that what it is, the definition. It's not probably the best, but this, I mean, the flow's fine till here. But here
Sure.
is where I would find a problem. Okay, so the strategy is becoming more and more popular day by day. Okay, this I think this is a very weak sentence. What's becoming more and more popular day by day? That's a repetition as well. More and more day by day. That's
Sure.
just
Yeah. Just
wordy.
being wordy. Yeah.
Yeah, unnecessarily wordy. And I mean, it's not becoming more popular. It's becoming more. People are becoming more aware of it. So the word popular is also irrelevant here. It's more confusing. As almost 85% of the received emails are considered spam. Um, First of all, this is wrong. If the emails are received, how can they be considered spam? They're received, but what they're
Yeah,
actually
it's
trying
true.
to say
Yeah.
is,
Makes sense.
is that uh, emails that are sent are considered spam.
Right.
Because if you
which
receive them,
seems which seems like a ludicrous statistic. Like that's one of those ones where it's like, I would really love to see a source on that.
Yeah. Well, I
But then
mean,
when
don't
you
you know that,
couple that,
and exactly, and
yeah.
it's always obviously a best to mention a source when you're mentioning a stat, because otherwise you
Right.
sound very up in the air and just
Well, I've heard that 87% of statistics are made up on the spot.
yeah, right. Exactly.
That's true. A lot of them are. But if another tip for high level content and thought leadership content is that when you're actually trying to prove a point, it is very important to mention a source. Otherwise, people won't trust you. Exactly as you said, everybody knows that people make up stats. So
Yeah.
why would so why would you want to trust an article that doesn't give you a source with a stat? So it's
Right.
ideal to always mention a source when you're mentioning a stat, especially if it's this high. You're claiming 85% of emails, which I think what they're trying to say is 85% of emails that you send will end in spam. So that's a high stat. I would like to know exactly where who said that and
Where'd you get that from?
yeah, exactly.
And to your point, we know that this sentence is wrong because they're claiming that all of the received emails are, 85%.
I mean, but we can
And
disagree.
actually, it would be zero.
Yeah, that emails exactly that emails that are sent or people who emails that are put into people's inboxes, they're filtered out. 85% of those are filtered out as spam. That's probably the more correct statement rather than saying
Sure.
Received emails are considered spam. That's very confusing. Okay,
Exactly.
so if we go on here, why will you need an email warm-up tool? As a business professional, okay, a business professional, I think that's also an
Redundant.
incorrect statement, right there.
Mhm.
You need an automated system. Again, it does not tell me exactly how email warm-up works,
Yeah.
or how is it an automated system. Why would you need this? It aids you in enhancing your email account's reputation, amplifying its deliverability, and increasing its sending limit. Okay, this can work, but to be honest, if I'm reading this for the first time, as many people aren't aware of email markup tools, I wouldn't understand at this point exactly why my account's reputation needs to be enhanced, why my deliverability needs to be amplified, and why my sending limit needs to be increased. I might not even know that I have a sending limit, or if I send beyond that, I'll be marked as spam. I don't know that yet. I don't think this is a very good sequence. I think somewhere above they should have explained these terms more thoroughly. So if you go down here, email service providers or ESPs, instead I would prefer doing this.
Yeah.
In
Right.
brackets.
Yeah.
You don't. That's just too long, and that's confusing for other people. Have various mechanisms for identifying flawed emails. Their spam detection filters are used to identify and prevent unsolicited emails infected with viruses. Okay, this is completely inaccurate. It's not spam is not emails that have viruses. Spam is emails that are salesy.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a whole separate thing.
yeah, exactly. So they're mixing concepts in the blog post, which is also another thing I'd like to mention. In emails, in content, in anything, it's very important not to mention two ideas in one sentence, or
Right.
even in one paragraph. You should try to stick to one idea instead of mentioning two different arguments, two different viewpoints, or two different stories in the same sentence. And if you can try to prevent doing that in a paragraph. People want to read simple stuff nowadays. So it's easy to understand, easy to comprehend. So this it's very confusing and it's very mixed up. Okay, then they go on. They're mentioning viruses here. Then the writer goes on and mentions unusual content, suspicious emails with lots of images, or a high volume of emails, and send them to the spam folder. All of these are very, very different things. Viruses, what is unusual content? I don't understand here, right? No
Right.
context again. Suspicious emails with lots of images. Okay, what is suspicious? And okay, this is with lots of images. That okay, I understand that, but still, it's different things in one, in one phrase.
Maybe I think that a dog with a windblown hair look is suspicious. Like
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so and a high volume of emails, and this is completely different from suspicious emails or unusual content, right? A high volume is probably a lesser evil. But if they're mentioning all of these things in one sentence, it's too much for the reader. And that's really not recommended. Okay, so you go down here. I would say this is good. I'd also mention the good parts as well. I mean,
Sure.
adding bullet points in between to separate content is good practice. So they mentioned exactly why you should use warm-up tools, what they do. Um, um, Okay, this sentence, you can look here. Okay, they're telling you that email warm-up tools help in improving the authenticity of your account by sending a huge number of quality emails, and you will be able to reach a point where the clients trust your account blindly. First of all, I don't think using the word trust your account blindly is a very professional statement. It's a very loose statement, right? I don't think anyone on the web wants to trust anything blindly. You can just say that your recipients, and your email service providers trust, your email domain. You're talking about a very technical topic here. So it's using the word trusting your account blindly. We're not talking about a relationship here or something, So I don't think this is an accurate statement right here.
Exactly. And like to your point, it's one that would almost have like a negative comment. Like one time I had a sales trainer that was trying to sell me on why we need to have our sales trainers like go through this course and all that stuff. And he made the comment, he was like, yeah, he's like, our course will make it so that you can sell anything to anybody. And I'm like, that's like the opposite I want, right? Like, I don't need a group of people to sell anything to anybody. Like we want to have qualified clients, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's like, let's say it's either one, not true, or two, it is true. And if it is true, that's almost worse. Like,
yeah, exactly. So it's, being generic is also never, a good thing. You should be very specific in what your service offers, and be very personalized to your client. You shouldn't just pitch anything
right,
without
exactly,
providing a proper reason for why you're pitching it.
Right.
Not everyone's selling ice cream, and even ice cream has different flavors, something for everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, okay. So, since it's a pretty long blog post, I'll just, pick out some parts because my eyes are scanning the words as I go along. And,
sure, yeah,
okay, you can see here that, so here they're saying that they're mentioning, in the midst of the blog post, what email warm-up tools are, and they're repeating the same thing over and over again. I can almost think that this blog post, or maybe a large part of it, was generated by AI.
I was going to ask that question because some of the wording and that kind of thing, it seems like they use Chat GPT or something like that and then just tweaked it.
Yeah, but
it actually was.
This blog post was posted before Chat GPT came out, so it wasn't Chat GPT. But yeah,
I think it might have been Jasper though, because hold on, sharing my tab here. I just took some of this content and put it in here. So it's reading at about 79% human generated. So it was using some form of AI generation, which is interesting.
Yeah, I guess if that analysis was accurate, so that it probably was. And you can see it because it's being repetitive, which is exactly why I haven't really I think you can use AI for some assistance to actually find some points, make an outline, but don't actually use it in your actual content. Not yet, at least.
Exactly.
AI is still it's still developing, and it's not there yet, to be honest, in my opinion.
Exactly.
You can't a robot can't beat a human, not yet, at least. And I've been told plenty of times that when robots get stronger or get more intelligent, I'm gonna be the first person they beat up because I was always criticizing their intelligence. Against humans. So yeah.
So they're coming for you eventually someday. But
I've been told that. But I hope they don't reach that point where they get that intelligent where they can. So I'm not, I'm hoping robots don't take over the world. I like humans better. But
sure.
yeah, so
Well, and even if it does, I mean, you can't have unique content using the same tools that everyone else is using, right? So, like,
Exactly.
let's say
Exactly.
that
That's
it's
why I prefer avoiding it altogether. But if I, in my team, when writers use it, or they want some points from there, or they want, just some more ideas, I mean, that's fine.
yeah,
Technology is there for help. We use it all the time. We're using it right now. We're using, we're in different places, but we're on the same, we're on video together. Technology is used to make life easier is fine, but using it, blindly to actually write something, I wouldn't. I don't up till
Right.
now. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
So now, okay, so how they've been mentioning email warm-up tools, their importance, what they do so much, but now going deeper, the heading is, why is an email warm-up tool even important? I think they should have answered that, way up there. And they've already been talking for about like 150 words or about 200 words, and now down here they're going to go into depth on that, which is also a repetition of what they've already said. Up there.
Exactly.
Um, um,
Which, do you know if this is are they trying to keyword stuff? I mean, is that why they're repeating themselves so much, or is
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
Is this
I
just
think
an SEO
yeah,
play? Yeah.
that could be something, because they've been using the word warming up over and over again. So,
right?
but warming up can be used without being repetitive. There's you can have different information. They could have mentioned, why it's necessary to warm up, how warm up works, what happens after you warm up. So you can use
Right.
that warming up, but you don't have to keep telling me what warming up, what it does over and
Why
over
it
again.
matters? Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and here, this information is inaccurate. The more warmed up your inbox is, the higher will be the open, reply, and click rates of your email. So
That's
if you warm up
impressive.
your inbox, yeah. Okay, so what actually happens is, if you warm up your inbox, your open rates obviously can get affected, because
Sure.
your email is going to go into the inbox rather than spam. Then obviously, if your recipients see them, they will open them, right? That has a correlation. But your reply rates, okay, so if they see them, they'll reply. Yeah, click rates can, obviously, because obviously if they open them, only then can they click. But that's
Right.
an indirect relation. The way that they've written this sentence is, it seems like that the minute you warm up your inbox, all of a sudden all of your email campaigns will get higher open rates and reply rates and click rates. No. You would
Right.
get a higher, you can possibly get a higher open rate, but then it also depends on your subject line.
Subject
It
line. Right.
depends on and your reply rate depends on your product or service, how relevant it is, who you're emailing, and what the content you wrote in your email. That's when you get a reply or a click. So it's not exactly, these two are related to your email being open, but they're not directly related to warming up your inbox, right? You're not warming up your inbox. You warm up your email domain. You can't warm up your inbox itself. So
Right.
again, this wrong terminology. So it's very important for a writer to know their subject. If you use the wrong terminology and someone who's editing it or who's reading it already knows about this stuff, that's a complete write-off for them. For example, if I'm reading this and it's a company trying to sell me something in this blog post, just because the writer didn't know what they were talking about, even if it's a good product, I won't trust it, because the writer, used the wrong terminology. They sounded very, very juvenile when they were mentioning all of this. So,
Sure.
yeah, so I just wouldn't buy. I wouldn't trust the whole company who actually posted the blog post. Um,
Which sort
and
of a more like meta question about this, or like a question about this from a bigger standpoint. I'm assuming this is a blog post written by a email warm up company
mhm,
with where obviously they're going to choose themselves as the number one recommendation, right? But
Right.
um,
Sure.
the those types of blog posts in general, I think, are like the somewhat, I don't know, disingenuous. I get it from an SEO standpoint, because like
Right.
that's kind of the game everybody plays, right? But it would be anyway, those are always like spurious in like in my opinion anyway, where it's like, especially if it's the same domain. It's one thing like the companies that go the extra step of it setting up like HubSpot actually does a really good job of this, where they'll have like 20 or 30 different brands that are also HubSpot, but it at least looks better when I'm reading an article about which CRM is best. It's nice to know that I'm not reading it on HubSpot.com or whatever. Um,
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so
sorry.
and I also don't think that the company should ever list themselves as the number one option. That's a bit too obvious. I mean, that's just
Yeah, it's too
yeah.
on the nose.
It,
Yeah,
it's,
exactly.
it's being salesy without being salesy. I mean, blog posts are supposed to be to educate the audience
Right.
while providing them information and maybe also showing them options without being salesy, but indirectly, obviously, including a CTA or a link to your product or service.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's what content is for. But in their face, as the number one option, if you list yourself as that, it automatically shows this is not an educational material; it's promotional material. So
Right.
that reduces its trustability, its authenticity. It reduces the whole purpose of the whole blog post. You can definitely list yourself as an option,
Yeah,
but
of
not
course.
the first option. And you don't really have to rank options either. You should
No.
probably just give a list of different alternatives that a person can choose.
And I
And
mean, if you're providing that product or service and they're on your blog reading about it, they're probably going to go after you first anyway, even if you
yeah,
did give them like other options. Like, here's some other people in that space, but you're here reading this. So, I mean, holy cow, like you're already number one because they're there.
Well,
yeah.
and
So
almost always you're not going to be the best choice for everyone anyway. So
Well, that's
like
true
just
too. Yeah.
being upfront about the fact of like, hey, if you're this type of company, this is probably a good option. And if you're this type of company, this one, and this one happens to be us, but if you know,
Uh, yeah, absolutely. So it's always a good idea to actually sell your product or service in a very indirect way, but being very authentic. I mean, it's okay to tell people that okay, I mean, if you're this type of customer, we're not for you. I mean, you don't have to
right,
sell to everybody because I mean that's also a way to build trust. If you can't help a certain type of customer and someone else is better for them, it's okay to send business their way.
of
I mean, as
course,
long as you're not a competitor. But if you are the best provider of that product or
yeah,
service, then prove it.
Right.
Explain yourself properly, your USP, your competitive advantage, and just sell yourself that way. But don't just put yourself as number one. And also, I would just also say that not in this particular blog post, but I find blog posts that use words such as remarkable, we're outstanding, we're excellent. I don't think when you're writing you should use these words very often in content. That they're hyperbole. I mean that's just like you're in a Mardi Gras parade or something, and you're just shaking your pom poms or something. I mean, just going around and going like, okay, we're awesome, but you have to prove it. No one wants to just take you by your word. For example, I can't just go to an employer and go like, "Hey, I'm awesome, hire me," right? I
right,
mean, you
yeah,
can't do that,
I
right?
mean, you could. Yeah.
Well, no,
right,
yeah, I probably I can try, but I'm sure the next question would be, "Okay, how? Prove it."
yeah, right, yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Now what you got?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think they'd probably just take me by my word if I said that, and they won't be like, okay, you're awesome. So how much should I pay you? So exactly, the customer wants to know if they're going to pay you. Why are you awesome?
Right.
Like prove it, right? So if you want someone's
I have
money, you have to actually properly prove you're worthy of it. No one wants to even a cent is worth is worth some sort of credibility. No one wants to even
exactly.
give a cent out without knowing why they're actually giving it out. Um,
Yeah.
I was a journalism major, and I had a professor that I had to write about this like city event thing that was going on in Clemson, and like I used the word indescribable, and she literally circled that and it was like, I forget how much off, but it was a lot off. It was like 15 points off or something like that. And she was like, if it's indescribable, then what are you doing out there? Like, what's the
Yeah.
story about?
Why are you
Exactly.
writing about it if you can't
Yeah, right.
describe it?
And
Yeah.
I'm sure you never did it again. So I think that was a very
Right.
smart move on her part. To actually
Exactly.
penalize you. It sounds harsh, 15 points, but I'm sure she made her point very clear, and you never
Yeah.
did it again. So whenever you were even about to use that word, you'd probably be like, okay, if I can't describe it, what am I doing here? So
Right. What is this about if I can't describe what's like?
yeah,
You should have
really
hired a
word.
poet to go to that
Yeah,
event.
it's a really pretty word. Though.
Yeah,
I like
exactly.
it. I mean, I'd love to use the word indescribable. Just to go like, okay, I can't describe this. It's indescribable. Just imagine it
Right.
yourself.
Right.
But no, there are so many pretty words. Also, that brings me to the point. There's plenty of words that sound great. They're impressive. They're long. They sound like your PhD, but you shouldn't
Right.
use them if they're not relevant, if they're not easily understandable. Because I don't think anybody reading an article would want to Google a certain word, if they don't know what it means in
Right.
the midst of reading, right? So you should try to keep to an 8th grade vocabulary, or okay. I mean, if you're going for a more thought leadership, more technical article, and you think your
Yeah.
target market is maybe a bit more educated, even though I mean, even educated people, I mean, we shouldn't really segment the audience that way. I think just having a
Sure.
regular 8th grade readability is great. But even if you want to get more technical, and it's more for a certain niche, maybe maximum high school, maybe a 12th grade vocabulary, at max, you'd go. I don't think, regardless of how, sophisticated your article is, you would probably want to go exceed that to, use, hard words in every sentence, or, I mean,
Right.
even if someone knows the meaning of all those words, no one wants to keep reading them, a lot of fluff and a lot of, really long words.
Well, at some point, it's going to probably come off a little bit pretentious anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And,
it just sounds like you're showing off. I mean, it sounds like you're just being too big, too good to be true, or too, I don't know, just
That's right.
Yeah.
It's too much. And with that, you should also not use too many descriptions. There's a certain way to describe a certain thing. You shouldn't use this is fantastic, unbelievable, super amazing. That's in a string. It's okay to just to say, okay, so we have fantastic prices, and then prove it, but don't go, we have fantastic, awesome, out of this world prices, and some companies actually do that, I mean, they actually put that together. Fantastic, amazing, out of this world prices. Oh my God, you won't believe it. Look at our prices now. That's a bit too much. You're praising yourself a bit too much, and that's just I mean, it's just it's very cringy. So I really wouldn't do that. Yeah. So I think basically content should have a good flow. It should be have an interesting hook. You should always use sources for all of your stats. And you should have a clear CTA, but you shouldn't ever praise yourself too much or list yourself as the number one or the only option available for a certain product or service, because I'm sure you're probably not the only option available. That's not possible. There's companies selling everything out there. Maybe if you're inventing something very, very new, maybe yes.
Sure.
But unless you are, I would steer clear of that completely. Content specifically is to educate, not to sell. Your main goal should be to educate, and within it, indirectly you're selling, but not directly. That's copy.
Right.
If you're selling it's copy. It's an email. It's a sales letter. A blog post is to educate. It's not to sell.
Thank you for listening to the Advertising Podcast, the podcast where we fix broken ads. Please remember that while marketing is an art, advertising is a science, and we at Draft Advertising Technology have the tools and tricks to help you treat it that way. For a bunch of early access to free tools, go to draftadtech.com. That's draftadtech.com. And of course, please like, subscribe, share, and if you leave us a review, just include your name or even the name of your company, and we'll mention you on air.